One of the great things about having a YouTube channel is that you can have an excuse for doing something like buying the shirt from Dan Flashes. Are you seeing this? Do you see this? I'm trying so hard not to queer bait you guys, but like this shirt, I thought this shirt was going to look nerdy. Tell you whatever's going on, I am not eating today. No, sir. Not today. Dan Flashes is a new shirt in, and that one is so complicated. The pattern is so complicated. It's like $1,000. I want that one so bad. I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson is a comedy sketch show that made its debut on Netflix in 2019. Each episode is roughly 15 minutes long, which contains about 4 or 5 smaller skits which ultimately lead to a larger sketch as a closer. It has since gained mainstream notoriety for its memeability and absurdism, and as of writing, it's been nominated for 2 Emmys in 2023. Impressive! Look, I love this show, and I'm glad to see it getting the attention it deserves. But despite its popularity, I think it's often misunderstood. You see, a variety of critics have noted a recurring theme in I Think You Should Leave. That theme is a character doubling down on a social faux pas, stubbornly refusing to admit their mistake. And they often frame this as the character being wrong.
I Think You Should Leave is basically the statement of thesis for this whole show. A lot of the characters are people who just fully commit to something. I mean, that is a perfect sort of opening sentence, that sketch that we just showed, of people who will not admit they're wrong.
Of its 29 sketches, nearly every one hinges on a character who is gloriously, spectacularly wrong, yet refuses to budge, lest they be humiliated by copying to their own wrongness.
Yeah. That's right. I'm front-loading this baby with pull quotes.
It's both painful and funny watching someone so frantically refuse to acknowledge their flub that they become all the more obviously in the wrong. As it happens, Tim Robinson specializes in that exact kind of manic energy.
Hear me out. I think this is a bad way to frame the show. I will admit that many of the show's sketches do fit this description like perfectly. Like the one where a man in a hot dog suit crashes his Wienermobile into a store and then tries to play it off like he's not at fault.
Whose car is this?
Yeah, come on. Whoever did this, just confess. We promise we won't be mad.
But I Think You Should Leave has just as many skits that go well beyond someone just being wrong and stubborn. While its various bits are almost always built on people creating socially awkward situations, I'd argue that the show frequently refuses to pass judgment on those involved, instead choosing to reveal a hidden tension behind that awkwardness. It doesn't say this person is wrong nearly as often as it says this person is having a hard time. And like some of the best comedies, it strikes a chord because it also turns a mirror toward our own difficulties moving through society. Dan Flashes isn't just a sketch about an inappropriate exchange at work. It's about our fascination with self-expression through consumerism, the ways in which we can go to physically unhealthy measures to achieve that self-expression, and the underlying existential horror of targeted ads.
And don't forget to come by Dan Flashes, high-end menswear with distinct patterns at prices that are going up, 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 and away.
The cold open about a guy who seems to be taking a joke way too far reveals that he's actually seeing the things that he says he is, leaving us to question the way we pave over other people's experiences and perspectives because of their social awkwardness. And yet another sketch about a VR shopping spree turns into subtle body horror and makes us question what we can lose as we barrel towards technological singularity.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
In my opinion, the most recurrent theme of the show isn't people being stubbornly wrong. It's people committing social faux pas that betray an underlying tenderness and sensitivity. In the show, a character's inability to read social cues will frequently shine a light on their desperate desire to connect with others. A man who alienates everyone during a ghost tour with his foul language is revealed to be profoundly lonely, definitely neurodivergent, and simply seeking friendship. The same goes for a diner patron who takes an invitation from a stranger way too far. I Think You Should Leave seems to be keenly aware that when we experience someone else committing this kind of faux pas, part of our discomfort is how obvious it is that the person is trying so hard. They're trying to fit in, to get in on the joke, to be one of the gang, to find a friend. And the tension between the inappropriate behavior and the earnest internal desire from which it comes makes us resentful. We know their transgression is unintentional, so it makes us feel guilty for not liking their transgression. As a result, instead of calling those people in, we often push them away. And the show will sometimes depict this unflinchingly.
Look, I've had enough. You're done. Now get on.
At other times, I Think You Should Leave subverts this by having the quote-unquote normal characters actually get on board with the awkward behavior, as if it isn't even awkward at all.
I'll eat the receipt to solve the problem.
And Jacob doesn't touch it!
That's right. And if Melissa gets sick, then that means
The paper makes you sick.
In either case, I see the show as, in part, a love letter to the neurodivergent, or to anyone who's finding it difficult to maintain social cohesion while they're struggling internally.
That's not a big deal. I guess he just doesn't like me.
Sure as hell makes me feel seen. Hi, I'm Chris, and in this essay, I will... Whoa. I got really tired of the shirt. It smelled exactly like my best friend's house growing up, and it was freaking me out. Thesis time. The Driving Crooner is a comedy sketch about the absurdity and pain of trying to express yourself creatively in the 21st century. A classical farce that mirrors our own reality of hustle culture, social media, content creation, and artistic expression, especially online. And it's particularly interested in the superposition of abstract silliness and existential angst within that landscape, ruminating on the dual existence of and interplay between lighthearted creation and genuine threats of violence. Threats of violence from both the consumers of your public image or content or whatever, and from the violent economic reality that produces the need to monetize your image and your passions in the first place in order to, escape the drudgery of modern existence. On May 30th, 2023, Season 3, Episode 1 of I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson released for streaming on Netflix. The episode is titled, That Was the Earth Telling Me I'm Supposed to Do Something Great, which is a direct quote from the sketch that is the subject of this video, The Driving Crooner. It's a sketch about a man who, in a surprising twist, drives around with a hat and a cigar decal on his side mirror so that if you drive right next to him, he looks like a 1950s crooner. But you gotta be right next to him for it to look real.
You gotta be right next to me. Everybody tries to make it look fake.
Hijinks ensue. And I'm gonna break the whole thing down and analyze it to pieces because it's fun. And I think it says something poignant about our lives in this period of human history. Look, I can't only do videos about very specific video games that will break your heart.
Because I saw that thing. That thing came in here when I was on the couch.
What did they do to?
I mean, I'm writing one of those kinds of videos right now, actually, but for the time being...
This is what we do now. This is who we are.
They could have just called this episode of the show The Driving Crooner, or gone with another quote from the same sketch, like they're trying to make it look fake. But titles aren't accidents. They named it That Was the Earth Telling Me I'm Supposed to Do Something Great for a reason. Remember that. The sketch opens simply enough. Office interior. A group of coworkers is informed of some gossip.
Hey, everyone. Kathy won't be in today. She got a DUI last night coming home from the office happy hour.
Oh my God.
Just take a quick moment to admire the amount of information that has been given to you. Just give me a second. I'm going somewhere with this. In the first fraction of a second, we understand that this is a workplace. We see the various drinks, the laptop, the work clothes, the general color palette, and, in my opinion, most crucially, the sound of an office phone ringing. That audio cue is doing such heavy lifting, immediately triggering a billion neurons to fire as we make associations between that sound and a host of complex feelings, all of which signal to our conscious mind, yes, we are at work. Doesn't matter what you do for a living, or if there's an office phone there, that specific ringtone conjures up so much with so little. Just give me, but that's not our concern. Our concern is Kathy and how she got a DUI.
Because she was at a work social event, I feel like I have to remind you all to be responsible.
Thank God she's okay.
Yeah. God, so scary. If anybody here ever feels like they've had too much to drink and they still need to drive, here's my number. No judgment, I mean it. I will pick you up wherever, whenever.
Fair warning, I will be pausing this quite a bit at first because it is very crucial to note that unlike the other sketches throughout the show, Tim Robinson is giving us absolutely no hint that he is going to be the transgressor in this story.
Here's my number. No judgment, I mean it.
And he almost never plays the straight man, and we know this because we're 3 seasons deep, so the show is already messing with you a little bit. Because in other skits, there will at least be a mild suggestion embedded in Tim's mannerisms that his normalcy is simply a veil, one that will be imminently lifted. Like a little wink to the audience that despite seeming neurotypical at first, something is about to happen, something's about to explode. That's called shading in the acting biz, and there is none of it here. It is nowhere to be found. And for reasons that'll become clear later, that is essential for this skit to work thematically, as is its office setting. Tim Robinson's character here needs to seem utterly regular in the literal light of day during work hours when his time is not his own. That's the important part. The camera then turns to focus on the man who will be our audience insert, James.
It's good to see you, dude. I had a blast.
You good to drive?
I should be fine.
All right. Get home safe.
Later.
He comes out of a bar late one night, too drunk to drive, stares at his coworker's business card, who's named Andrew Tepecchio. Awesome name. And then we dissolve to Andrew arriving to pick up his coworker to drive him home. And that's the setup. But did you notice something unusual? Both the heavy use of cross dissolves and the score stand out in particular. Unlike the cut or the smash cut, cross dissolves are a transition that are often used to signal the passage of time in a more pensive way. We're meant to extract a slow mood from it. When paired with a brooding score, these transitions give us a sense of foreboding. And if you listen closely, the music is actually referencing something very specific. A lone, possibly muted trumpet reverberates over the span of 2 whole steps, supported by violins dissonantly harmonizing in a pitched vibrato, melting into the timbre of the trumpet to obfuscate which instrument is playing what. And what you just heard here? That's a film noir score. We're in a film noir. Not just a thriller, but a film noir. The music directly conjures the vibe of films like Chinatown, The Big Sleep, Dark Passage, and Sunset Boulevard. And film noir, I'll have you know, is a subgenre especially focused on hidden darkness. A lot of seedy underbellies in film noirs. An undeniable sense of falling down the rabbit hole in film noirs. A lot of leading double lives. And as such, a common theme in this genre is light and dark. It's the idea that all the twisted machinations that exist below the top layer of society come out at night. And remember how Andrew Tepecchio seemed so completely normal during the light of day? We don't realize it yet, but the switch to nighttime, along with the musical scoring, is signaling to us that in true noir fashion, we should expect an underlying reality, obscure, grim, and possibly violent. And then comes the comedic turn. What are you doing?
Yeah, you got behind the wheel. That could have been bad.
Yeah, well, thanks.
Fuck, they're trying to make it look fake! God damn it!
Make what look fake?
The hat and the cigar. You're driving with the Driving Crooner, baby.
We have fallen down the rabbit hole indeed. Dear friends, I give you the Driving Crooner. It's a guy driving around with decals on his window so he looks like a crooner. That's fucking hilarious. Why would someone do that?
Fuck! They're trying to make it look fake!
Slow down!
You gotta be right next to me for it to look real. You gotta be right next to me. Everybody tries to make it look fake. Fuckers.
So this man, Andrew Tepecchio, has a passion project, and he desperately wants it to be perceived as intended. He doesn't want it to look fake. He wants it to look real. He doesn't want it to look fake. He wants it to look real. Doesn't want it to look fake. He wants it to look real. Doesn't want it to look fake. He wants it to look real. He wants it to look real. By days, a mild-mannered office worker. By night, he leads a double life functionally as, dare I say it, a content creator. Only because we call everything content these days. That's the whole point of the word content as a descriptor for creative output, right? It is such a broad application. Well, I mean, it's also a subtle linguistic trick to get us to regard everything and anything we create as a commodity first and a meaningful piece of communication and self-expression second. This is Andrew's content. At the very least, this is his passion that requires him to be public-facing. And it's important to note that Andrew perceives others as actively trying to consume his image in bad faith. This might strike a chord for you because that's the pitfall of being socially active online. Being intentionally misunderstood and undermined. Actively being read in the worst faith possible. Trolls are everywhere. If you love pancakes, you hate waffles. And when someone does this to you, it gets you mad, like,
everybody tries to make it look fake. Fuckers.
Okay, so the Driving Crooner has a hobby, a public face, and is afraid of trolls. Let's go deeper. He then says this line.
I bet you didn't know you were driving with the Driving Crooner, did you? Or working with the Driving Crooner.
No, I didn't know you do this.
Oh yeah, I do this. I own this.
As if his reputation precedes himself, which it seems absurd for him to assume, right? How could this possibly bring about status and clout? But as we will later find out, he is a micro-celebrity of sorts. That's a dog. It's a woofing dog. He's woofing. Woof! 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 Now go see about the dog. Do some claps. But, as we will later find out, he is a micro-celebrity of sorts. And that's an essential ingredient to all of this too. It looks like self-aggrandizement and dramatic paranoia from the outside.
Fuck! They're trying to make it look fake!
It looks silly and inconsequential. But as it turns out, the Driving Crooner happens to have real weight. Not just for Andrew Tepecchio, but other people as well. People who are so invested that things can actually escalate outside the realm of passive viewership. But before we get into all of that, this is also the point in the sketch when Andrew makes it clear he has aspirations to monetize.
I gotta figure out how to make money on this thing. It's simply too good.
You and me both, buddy. So the driving crooner isn't just a hobby.
The dream is to have 5 cars going around statewide.
It's a side hustle.
TheDrivingCrooner.com, baby. Don't you love it?
Andrew Tepecchio is so enamored with his creative output that he thinks there's a way to make money off of it. Can you imagine? The Office just isn't cutting it for him, and he thinks he sees a way out. If not out of the Office itself, at least a way toward a more comfortable life. Andrew, like so many of us, is yearning, and he is highly protective of his golden ticket. But even though, at this point in the sketch, we're still meant to think that the driving crooner is delusional in his paranoia and anger about potential trolls.
He was walking his dog.
He was walking right up the car. He was trying to rip the hat off. He was trying to rip the cigar off.
Why the hell would he do that?
We're treated to a depiction of a deep exhaustion and sadness within him.
I don't know. Some people hate this, James. I don't know what it is, but they fucking hate it. There's people that want to kill me, James.
They want to kill you for doing the driving crooner?
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's heartfelt and real.
I don't know.
But the way that the driving crooner says yup,
Yeah.
it makes it seem to James and to us, the audience, that although the driving crooner genuinely feels battle-worn, he definitely has illusions of grandeur. There's simply no way that people care enough about the driving crooner to want to unalive this guy. It's too silly. It's too niche. It's too inconsequential. And yet...
Fuck! Fucking hell! Fuck! Oh no!
What?
Frat boys, they're gonna try and run us off the road.
What? Roll up the window.
There's nothing on it.
Oh, we know what's on it.
There's no stickers on it.
Yes, there is. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna fucking kill you, driving crooner.
It's real. You guys, the driving crooner is kind of like a
thing out in these streets.
And as absurd as it is, the fact is, Andrew Tepecchio is a man who is navigating a minefield in order to get something he believes in off the ground and to improve his life. He's like all of us for real. The driving crooner is our art, our podcasts, our online stores, our OnlyFans, our personal brand, our YouTube channels, and a million other things that we love doing and want to pursue. Things that can seem about as silly from the outside looking in as a guy driving around doing a bit with decals on his car window. But no matter how silly it looks, or actually is, there are people who take it seriously enough that they might try to undermine you, misrepresent you, and even give you death threats. And that can be really hard. It can take an emotional and spiritual toll, not just because the grind is tough, but for a much more poignant reason that the sketch saves for last. After the frat boys threaten Andrew and drive away, we get the emotional denouement, where the title of this episode gets its name.
Are you all right? I'm so sick of this. Why do they hate it so much? When I was a kid, I fell into a river and a fish bumped me out of the water. I was supposed to die, but a fish bumped me out with its nose. That was the earth telling me I was supposed to do something great. And I know that's the driving crooner. It has to be. You know what I mean, James?
I know what you mean, driving crooner. One of the most universally human things I can think of is the desire to find your place, your purpose, your meaning. Why am I here? What was I meant to do? How can I feel good about my life? I mean, these questions only burn more as time goes on. And that's a part of the reason why we hustle to begin with, why we have hobbies, why we have passions. They're not just things that we love, they're who we are, or what we would want to do all day if we had all the time in the world, or what we think might be able to provide us that financial freedom. Sometimes it's all of those things. And we imbue those desires into our projects, our hobbies, our ideas. We fight to keep them in a world that doesn't give a shit whether you're fulfilled or even sustained. A world that just cares about how much money you make versus how much money you cost. This speech, however funny, speaks to that condition earnestly. And I'll grant you, it's not supposed to be taken perfectly at face value. Even though the monologue is sincere in depicting Andrew's existential plight, we still get this shot. But that's the thing about this sketch. The whole time, it's been dealing with two realities existing simultaneously. It's both silly and serious. It's both unimportant and incredibly important. Andrew's feelings are valid and relatable, and yet they are contained within the world of window decals. Andrew Topecchio by day, the driving crooner by night. And the tension between all of those things is the most relatable of all.
But you sell it with such sadness. Like, he's so sad that he has to do this.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot. There is a recurring theme of like these kind of people who have these dreams of being famous or something like that. Same with the old man who wants to become a pop star, or even Ruben who just wants to be popular. He wants to do the best at a focus group. He just wants to be popular.
I'm doing the best at this.
I'm doing the best at this, yeah.
We want to look back and say, I did something I loved, something I cared about, something great. Consider my favorite line from the whole sketch.
Gotta figure out how to make money on this. I really want to.
It's hilarious because wanting something isn't going to make it happen. Wanting the driving crooner to generate wealth isn't a business plan. So we're tempted to think of this as like a joke about delusion or entitlement. And it does work on that level. But I think it's mostly just a joke about honesty. He wants it so bad, simple as that. His desire is so pure. And why isn't that a good enough reason? He feels a calling to do something great and he's convinced that this is it. He doesn't want to fail the universe or himself. Yeah, he's just like me for real. Look, I know all of this is silly, but I love it, and it's part of who I am, and I think that's precious. So, like and subscribe, I guess. Just don't try to make it look fake.